Are you fixing it? Yeah? You fixing it? Good job. Distracted by the video game.
How's it going, everybody? So May 6th is coming up, the second anniversary for Dylan being missing, which is, there are no words for the pain and suffering, everything we've endured. It's hard. But May 6th, we're doing another boat launch for Dylan. So we're going to do it a little different this year. Around 6 p.m. It starts. We're going to have a support search for Dylan. And then right after that, we're going to have a community barbecue. We encourage everyone to stop by and have a bite to eat. And at around sunset, we're going to do a candlelight boat launch. And we encourage you to bring some candles if you'd like. We really encourage everyone to maybe possibly even build a boat. Or I've used popsicle sticks to build mine. You can just use the paper ones that we make here. It's really up to you guys. We're really hoping for a great turnout. Restrictions are gone, so it's all about Dylan. There's no fighting. It's everyone's just got to get along and be there for Dylan. Family, friends, supporters. And there'll be some other activities, I imagine. I was also thinking maybe everyone can bring a small pair of boots. Maybe we could hang it off a tree for Dylan. Just an idea. Can't wait to see everybody. And I just really hope we can bring him home and spread some good awareness May 6th. And I hope you guys will be there with us. Let's bring Dylan home.
Sounds like a how-to video. Good job. Say bye. Say bye. Say bye. Say bye.
And with that, we bring in father of missing toddler, Dylan Ehler. Is that how you pronounce it, Ehler?
It's Ehler.
Ehler.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know yesterday was the 2-year anniversary of him going missing. And I want to welcome you to the show. Your wife or girlfriend was going to be on, but she's not having that great of a day. It's understandable. Yesterday was a rough day for you. Tomorrow's a rough day. So I just want to say that we understand. I appreciate you being here and reaching out to me. And I've been looking forward to talking with you. Now, with that being said, under the circumstances, it is nice to meet you and to talk to you.
It's nice to meet you too, and I'm happy to talk to everybody.
How did you get in contact? Or so were there people that follow your story that follow this channel and they kind of linked us? Is that what happened there?
Yes, wonderful lady Tracy Regier. Tracy, her name is anyway, and she
Okay.
watches you all the time.
Oh, okay. Very good. Good. I'm glad that we connected and so let's just really get right into it. Tell us about the day. What was going on? What were you doing? What was your wife or girlfriend? However you want me. Wife?
Girlfriend.
Girlfriend. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me what was going on that day, where you guys were, and why you dropped Dylan off at your girlfriend's mother's house.
So the few days prior to that, there was a no contact order, so I was at my mother's house, and Ashley was at her house with Dylan, and it was just a normal day. I was a little depressed with the whole no contact order. I don't know, that day I really missed my son. I was pretty determined to get him early, but my parents weren't ready, and they had a bunch of things to do. So, but we'll skip right down to the. So I reached out to the grandmother to on Messenger to get a phone number, or to see if she had seen Ashley or where Dylan was, and I'm quite sure that was around 2 o'clock ish. No response. So me, my mom, my sister, we all got ready, and we jumped into the car. I remember, I believe I was driving. We drove down to a Needs to pick up a drink, and it was probably closer to 3 at that time. Not quite 3 o'clock, and we were driving down to Dorothy's, the grandmother, to get a phone number, or maybe she could contact Ashley to find out where Dylan is so I could pick him up. That was the plan. So anyway, I made my way down, and as you get over the train tracks, I remember seeing a cop car sitting on the side of the road along another property. So I never really thought anything of it, and then I turned onto Elizabeth Street in Truro, Nova Scotia. And so I turned onto Elizabeth Street, and there was a cop car with a female cop, Truro police officer, standing on the driveway. I noticed Ashley's father there. I noticed his girlfriend, and Dorothy was up in the window. So I got out. I actually put my hands in the air and was like, I'm not here to bother Ashley, with the no contact order. I wasn't sure if she was there. I didn't want to push any boundaries. I was like, just here to get a phone number.
You had a no contact order with
Ashley.
Okay, go ahead.
So I got out of the car, put my hands up, and then I said, just here to get a phone number. If Ashley's here, I'm not trying to break any conditions. And the female officer said, who are you? I said, I'm Jason. And then she said, Dylan's missing. Are you the father? And that was when I shattered.
So let's go back. And I know that all these things are sometimes uncomfortable to answer, but it's all out there.
Yep.
4 days before that, you guys had a domestic dispute. Both went to jail. That's the reason for the no contact order, correct?
Yes, we both went and got our fingerprints, and then we were let back out.
Okay. And then, so Ashley drops him off, and where is she going?
She drops him off at around 10:30ish at the grandmother's, and she went to Belmont to see a friend for a coffee.
Okay.
With everything going on, COVID and
Mhm.
our breakup, I guess she just needed a break, right? Like anyone else, she
Sure.
dropped the little boy off and went for a coffee.
And was that something that was common that grandma would watch Dylan regularly?
Yeah.
No problems before that ever?
Not to my knowledge, no.
What about to her knowledge?
Not to her knowledge, no.
So you had been missing your son. You wanted to go pick him up. And when you went there early, the cops were already there.
Yes.
And
it wasn't that I went early. I just that was the person I had to go through. So
yeah.
I couldn't get a hold of her. So we went over to find Dylan one way or another. So it would have been, we would have stopped at Dorothy's, and then it would have been Ashley's, and my parents would have went into Ashley's, but Dorothy's was the first place we had stopped.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that she went out for coffee the day. I didn't know anything.
You just knew that that's where you were getting him from?
That's where I thought I could get him from. Gotcha. So there's only a few places Dylan would ever be, and that's at Mom's house or his grandmother's house. There's really nobody else. So I knew to go to one or the other.
So you go there, you see cop cars. How long had he been missing at this point?
He would have went missing at 1:24.
And you showed up when?
3.
And nobody had told you?
No.
When did Ashley find out?
Well, they didn't want her to know right away.
Okay.
So I actually had to fight with them. I'm like,
when you say they, you're talking about the cops.
The cops.
Okay.
I guess I couldn't go because of the no contact order. So I argued for her father to go, and that took 10 minutes of arguing, and then they were like, go ahead, go get her. Because I thought, well, that's the right thing to do, is contact the mother, right?
Of course. Sure.
So Norm went out to Belmont, picked her up, and told her the news on the way home. And that's when she broke down, and she thought by the time she had got there, he was going to be found. Everything's going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. And it was never fine.
And just to round out the rest of the story of the domestic violence issue, charges were later dismissed after you guys agreed to counseling, correct?
Correct. Yes.
And how long after that did you guys get back together? Was it pretty instant?
It was instant.
Because, you're in this chaos now.
Yeah.
And it's not about you guys. It's about finding Dylan.
Exactly.
And just so the audience knows, what did the police make of the domestic dispute having to do with Dylan's disappearance? Was there anything there? Did they feel that there was anything there?
No.
And they've stated that publicly.
Yes.
Very good. Now, also, once again, things that, and I know we just got to get through these parts.
Yep.
Speak on the TikTok videos. People bring them up incessantly. It never stops. I know that you guys have had your battles with that. I would call them ill-timed. I would call them, probably inappropriate, but people make mistakes. People do things that they regret.
So there was actually kind of a trend going along with all that, with the Frozen parody and all that stuff. I've seen videos actually of fathers burying their own kids, laughing while the song's going on. I've seen thousands of the same thing. The only difference is it was funny for them. Just this situation, Dylan went missing in a few days after. So,
yeah.
Actually, a few of them, I'm not sure when they were exactly put out, but it was irrelevant.
And all cop also stated that had nothing to do with the investigation.
Correct.
Okay, so let's talk about when Dylan goes missing. He goes missing about, according to police and the grandmother, about 1:30ish.
So funny thing is the missing alert for Dylan went out at 4:30, and it stated the 911 call was at 1:15. But then in W5 News, you catch the chief saying 1:24. So now we honestly, we're not sure with the whole big thing with the police side of it right now.
Okay.
But yeah, around, we'll say between 1:15 and 1:24.
And grandmother's story is what? Because it is important to know that Ashley's mother, which is Dylan's grandmother, who regularly babysat him, was in custody of him at that time that he goes missing. Nobody disputes that. Can you tell me what were the circumstances where she went missing, where he went missing, and what she says about it?
So there's been a few stories. So when Ashley left Dylan that day, she specifically said, "Dorothy, please put on Dylan's harness. If you bring out the puppy, that's quite a bit, the puppy and Dylan. It's just until you got your dog situated at least." And so apparently she didn't use his harness. So her story was, I walked Dylan in one hand, and the puppy, which was, we'll say 4 to 6 months old, had the puppy on a leash on the other hand, walked Dylan to the bottom of the stairs, walked over to where the lead is outside, let go of Dylan's hands. She looked at him and said, "Stay there." Turned around to tie the dog, looked back, and he was gone just within seconds. She said a brief second at the beginning.
I read a quote from her saying that it was 18 to 20 seconds, which is awfully specific. And I don't know where that number comes from. But
actually, I do believe the police came up with that number.
Okay.
And I still like to know how. I don't know. I would love to know that myself.
Because so the theory ends up being that she turns around to put the lead on the dog in the yard. Dylan is behind her in the yard, so she turns her back.
1 foot to 2 feet away, she says.
Okay. So she turns her back.
Yeah.
The cops say 18 to 20 seconds.
Yep.
1 foot to 2 feet away, and he slips out the gate. That is possible. I can understand. There was a gate, correct?
No gate.
Okay, so it's just an open yard.
So no, it's fenced in pretty well. The whole thing is fenced in except for the part, or the front where the road is. And there's on one side there's a little gap where there's a bush, so we could have slipped through there. But in 20 seconds, that's still too far.
Yep.
So,
and we spoke a little bit this morning. So what he would have to do is slip out from 1 foot to 2 feet from behind her while she's putting the dog on a leash for 20 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
So if she turns around, what is she looking at? Is it just fenced in bushes? She wouldn't be able to see him if he had made it out to the street.
If he made it out to the street, which Ashley said he's tried to run that way before, but she was there.
Okay.
And he would have ran out to the road, and she would have seen the entire road. It's no problem.
Oh, so when she turned and looked, she could see the road.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about the theory that the police had come up with. And that theory was that he slipped off out to, what was the name of the brook?
Leopard Brook.
Leopard Brook, which goes into the Salmon River, which goes into the bay, then to the ocean.
Yep.
That day, it's reported that the water was abnormally high. Nova Scotia and that part of the bay is known for extreme tides.
Yes.
So people do go missing in the water there, correct?
Yep, but they're always found.
Really?
Most of them, yep.
Is it that they end up washing back on shore or getting caught up in debris? Is that what we're talking about there?
Yep, pretty well.
Okay. So how far from that backyard to the brook, how far is that?
250 meters, 300 meters, give or take.
Okay, I don't know.
We're talking wood train and.
What is that? 3 blocks?
Yeah, I guess.
3 blocks. Okay. So if she can turn and she looks to see out, but she doesn't see him, she'd be able to see. Nobody on the street saw him. And we'll talk about that in a bit, because I know that the police did not lock down the streets, which is odd to me. Well, we will also talk about the time gaps, because there seems to be a lot of time gaps here. A lot of chain of command, hiding behind chain of command type stuff. And we'll get into all that. But tell me what the cops told you that day, that what they believe had happened that day.
They believe that Dylan heard the river and ran straight to the river. That is what they believed, and they wouldn't take anything else. There was no other theories. They were quick to it.
Mm. Yeah.
There were no footprints. There was nothing.
And how long after he went missing were the boots found? And tell me where the boots were found.
So, do I get into the canine first or skip to the boots?
Go to the canine first. Whatever happened first, go ahead.
So when I get there, I'm like, well, I'm running down to I said, did you guys check the brook or the river? Because that was my main concern at that point. And she had said that the canine unit had just got there. So we're talking a pretty big gap between when Dylan went missing and actually getting a canine out there.
Sure.
And they stated that the dog was on another scene, which I looked it up and everything. I don't see what scene they were on to see. And the funny thing is, we have RCMP that is like literally 2 minutes away. So like, why wasn't anyway? The boots were found.
Well, now wait a second.
Yeah.
When the call came in to the police, how long did they take to get to to the grandmother's house?
They said within 5 minutes.
And does that jive with what grandma said?
Couldn't tell you. I don't know. I don't see. They've been kind of. I think we've been lied to most of the time.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what's actually real and what's not. And partly because the canine unit, they told me 20 minutes. Now I'm told 40. Is it an hour?
Mm.
And with the 911 call, that's different. We'll get to the mannequin test too. That's an interesting one.
Definitely. This comment right here says that Grandma states she didn't even know the brook was there, even though she lived there for years. Did she, in fact, live there for years?
She lived there for quite a few years, 12 years, 13.
Yeah. Okay. So they say 5 minutes to make it from the call, but you weren't told that Dylan was missing until, once again, did you say it was over an hour he had been gone?
So I found out at 3, so about an hour and a half, I guess.
Hour and a half. Okay. All right.
And I missed a part too. I remember when my mom and my sister got out of the car. I guess Dorothy. So my mom was like, "Where were you when Dylan went missing?" And Dorothy got very ignorant with her. And I remember the cop telling Dorothy to go back, get your head out of the window and go back inside. And the cop stated to my mom and my sister that she had stated 2 different stories, and she's going to get to the bottom of this. And then I swear to God, the cop I haven't seen since.
Gotcha. Okay, so they theorize that he slips away in 18 to 20 seconds, makes a beat. Could you, when you showed up there, do you remember if you could hear the brook from where you were?
No.
You don't remember, or you couldn't?
You couldn't hear the brook or the river.
Okay. So they said that. But was Dylan attracted to water?
He's never seen he's seen a river once when he was a year and a half. I can't say he knows a river or brook.
Mm-hmm. And because they're very adamant about him being attracted to water.
Because yeah, they really seem to be, and I don't quite know why. They kept asking, did Dylan like water? Did Dylan like water? Well, of course he likes baths. Doesn't mean he's going to jump into a river.
Right.
So.
And had he been known to wander off by himself? And had he ever made it out of anybody's sight like that?
So the only time we had an incident, so we live in a trailer and our house shifts in the wintertime or in the fall. You know what I mean? And so the door came not closed anymore, so it shifted and the door opened a little bit. And Dylan had snuck out. And then Ashley went outside and he was just in the yard. Went and grabbed him and fixed the door, and he wasn't, he didn't run off to nowhere land.
Sure. Right.
To me, there's woods, there were shiny objects, this would be all new things for a child his age. And you got to put in effect that his boots were a size too big, so he would grow into them.
Gotcha. So let's go back to we'll jump forward again, back to the dog, dogs. Go ahead and explain that situation to us.
So when I first arrived, the canine handler was just getting there with the canine police dog. And I remember him coming out of the woods. The dog wasn't wet. The officer wasn't wet. So, I don't assume he crossed the brook or anything. Maybe he drove to the other side and looked. But I remember him stating so clearly that he said, this dog is not meant to look for a child. And I remember him saying that, and I still don't understand why.
Yeah, I mean, there are different kinds of dogs.
Or maybe he meant the dog isn't meant to search for a child after this amount of time, is possibly what he said, and which I get, because I know with a retired RCMP officer, that day was actually a perfect day for scent if they had arrived within 10 to 20 minutes instead of a couple of hours, right? Scent kind of, you know what I mean?
Right. So. Absolutely. All right. And so then there was a hit, correct?
No, that's later on. So we'll continue on with day one.
Yep.
So not long after the canine left, a fella showed up with a dog. He said it was a hunting dog. I think it was just a family or friend's friend just trying to help. And I don't even think it was a hunting dog. It was just someone trying to help with their dog. So he started looking around, and what I didn't notice, in which the guy probably didn't realize. So sorry, I forgot. I skipped a part. So when the guy came with the dog, sorry, the canine unit, the police canine unit, didn't want a scent of Dylan. They didn't want his blanket or nothing to smell.
Oh, well, that
So
makes sense.
yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense. So after they left, a guy showed up with a dog, and he took Dylan's blanket. But we didn't realize is he took that blanket and he went all through the woods with it. So that's kind of, bringing a scent everywhere. Um, but my biggest questions are, why wasn't the police stopping these friendly Samaritans from even coming in? They never treated it like a crime scene whatsoever. I remember seeing a cop sitting in his car the entire time. They weren't stopping traffic. They weren't doing anything.
So they just assumed that he ran off and never looked into it as a possible abduction.
It's pretty well it, yeah.
And the problem with that is that grandmother also doesn't go along with the theory of the water. She says that he was abducted. And that is that still her? I mean, I know that you don't talk to her, and we'll talk about that as well. But she says that she doesn't believe that he fell into the water, but she believes somebody has him, and that somebody abducted him. Correct?
Yeah, that would be me and my brother.
Right. Well, we can talk about that here in a bit. I understand, and I know I get it. I saw the Facebook post that she put. Now, it's very, very odd to blame somebody like that. But yeah, that is a great question. Does the grandma still live in that same house?
Yep.
Still there. Okay. Interesting. So day one, anything else happened on day one obviously besides everything that went on that day? What else happened?
So family members remember a fella kind of carrying a duffel bag down Elizabeth Street, and it was quite heavy, and walked right by the police officer sitting in the car. And what happened there? So he ended up walking to the end of Elizabeth Street, went into 16 Elizabeth, and I remember family members getting the cop to go over, and they wouldn't go over. And then I think a few hours later, I think the chief went up and knocked on the door and asked for the bag, and they emptied it, and it was full of clothes. And then that was that. And then I think not long after that, his boots were found by a diver, I do believe.
Let's talk about the time gaps on that day, about the alerts. Call is about 1:24. When did an official public alert go out? Official.
Well, I know that they didn't tweet no, there was one tweet. They didn't do any Facebook media or anything, even on their own page. But they did do non-intrusive emergency alert at 4:33.
What is a non-intrusive emergency alert?
It goes to all social media platforms. It doesn't go to your phone.
And an Amber Alert does.
Yes. It'll go through all social media plus your phones.
It's intrusive because it's supposed to be. And this was, you said, sorry, what was the time again?
So that was around what, 4:33, something like that.
So basically 3 hours later, a
Yep.
public notice goes out, an official public notice
Yep.
goes out.
Yep.
And why why the delay? What is the reason for the delay?
They won't tell us.
And you flat out asked him why did it take so long?
He said he blamed it on search and rescue. Actually, he said search and rescue took over about an hour or so to get ready. Like, that's what our deputy chief said. So, and they wonder why I'm frustrated with I'm no word of a lie. They blame it all on everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the police are the ones that pull the strings. They're the ones that have to notify for anything.
Yeah, they're the ones that have to request the for whatever to happen, and it doesn't get released by the emergency system until
the chief
until chief signs off on it. So, but they have to wait for that sign off. But typically, when it is signed off on, it goes out immediately.
Yep.
Okay, and so do you think that they just thought that maybe they were going to be able to find them?
So I talked to a retired RCMP officer, and so
bear with us, folks. Let me see here. I'm having connectivity issues. Let me bring him back. And he went back. Folks, if you're just joining us, I'm sitting down with there you go. Hold on here. Give me 1 second. Where'd you go? We're working on it. He'll come back in. Give me 1 second. All right, for the folks that are just joining us, we're talking with Jason Ehler, father of Dylan Ehler. Yesterday marks 2 years since he's been gone. They did a boat launch for him yesterday. Mother was supposed to be with us, but she's having a rough time from yesterday and tomorrow's Mother's Day. So we do absolutely respect that, and we respect everybody here. We are working on getting him back at this moment. Good old technology. See here. Maybe we can take some quick questions. And guys, for the questions, I am starring questions that we can ask. I don't want to stop the interview. I don't want to stop the interview to just ask questions that are, further ahead or behind. So towards the end, we'll try to get some questions answered. And Raybird says, please send my love and support to Ashley. Absolutely. It has been a tough time for her and the whole family as well. So let's see here. Lori says, I'm sorry, but I don't believe the grandma. She sounds shady to me. Well, that's going to be kind of a common theme. That story doesn't really match. It just seems like an unlikely story. However, how are we supposed to know? That's just the toughest part. And Shandy Moon, I will ask if they did take lie detector. Curious if the police went door to door. No, so Dad sounds frustrated, but who can blame him? Absolutely. Lulu, thanks for being here. Grandma has joined your membership. She's here. Hey, Grandma. Which grandma? Oh, interesting. I don't know. Interesting. Very interesting. Hmm. You think? Let me check my phone here real quick and see what's going on. Oh, just give me a second here, guys. All right. Well, I don't know if I think Jason's coming back, but Grandma, if you want to come up here and talk, we'll talk to you too. We're an equal opportunity employer here at the lab. Yeah. Interesting. I mean, live shows, folks. Live shows. Did not expect that. Did not expect that. I really hope that that's not the reason that he left. I don't think it is. I mean, it sounded like his internet was going out, but I really do hope that this isn't an attempt to thwart the conversation. I don't really have any reason to believe it, but I do hope that that's not the case. But I don't know. I don't know. Trying to see if I can get a response here. It's possible. Yeah, it's possible. This channel has become one of my top. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I think his internet froze too. Give me 1 second. Oh, whoops. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. Wow. That's interesting. Grandma, if you are here and it's you, I don't know if the reason, I don't know. I don't know if his internet got cut off. I don't know if he saw you and took off. I really don't know. And yeah, I just don't know. I'm really confused right now. It's very, very, I just called him. What a joke. What an absolute joke. Wow. I mean, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You know, and I'm not upset. I'm not upset with Jason or Ashley at all. They were the ones that reached out to me to talk to me, and it seems like he's trying to come back in right now, folks. So just hold on. Let's see if his internet. Jason, you there?
How's it going?
It's going all right, man. Your internet go out?
I forgot to plug my laptop in.
Oh, so it died.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Nope. Okay, no worries. I wanted. There's a Dorothy in this chat right now. Can you confirm if this is the grandmother?
I can, sure.
Let me see here. Does that look like her?
That looks like her.
Has this happened before?
Not that I've noticed, no.
Okay.
She's got a peace bond on me, so she's probably just trying to pick something out. But I'm allowed to talk about my feelings.
I was going to say, are you comfortable still going? If not,
yeah.
Okay.
I'm comfortable.
Okay. Just
we're just talking about my feelings, so.
Very good. And you don't have to address her directly. She's welcome to watch and be respectful. I mean, this is a public show. I hope that it is not an intimidation tactic or a weird sort of, yeah, I don't know. Let's move on. What is a peace bond? Is it like a restraining order?
So, yeah, same thing. I can't go 100 meters from our house, stuff like that. I can't search the brook no more.
Okay. Now, so let's go ahead and just get back into it. So the time gap was missed, 3 hours. They give you flimsy reasons. Did they shut the street off at all? Did they go knocking on neighbors' doors? Did anybody see him take off?
No.
Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. Why did they say why that they didn't shut the street off, or what, or shut the streets off, or why they didn't go door to door asking if anybody's seen it? And did anybody come forward and say that they saw him?
No one came forward to say that they seen him, but Chief McNeil stated, "How do you expect us to stop everybody?" He's like, there were people on horseback looking for him, but that's funny because that was the next day. So just once again, flimsy reasoning.
Yeah.
And sorry, what was the other question? I forgot.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my bearings back a little bit here. Did anybody come forward saying that they saw him?
No.
Gotcha. And like I said, once again, I just want to make sure that you feel comfortable to keep this going.
I'm comfortable.
Okay, because I don't, no disrespect to anybody. That's not what we do here.
We're just, yeah.
Okay. So tell me now, what is you're not so you why aren't you allowed to search the Brook area? Tell me why. Let's just get into that.
So back when my son Dylan went missing, um, I guess this must have been a few months in. My best friend was like, "Why don't you come have a drink with me at my house? Be normal for a minute." You know what I mean? And I had my phone with me, so I sent Dorothy some threats that I probably shouldn't have done and kept them in my own head.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. We all
Did
all
did
don't
you
get it.
physically threaten her?
Yes.
Yes. And obviously you claim that this was out of frustration. And was it just once? Was it multiple times?
It was that one time, but there was multiple ones. And so 14 months later, a peace bond is basically done. So
Okay. And this was out of frustration. And was this the night you said this was the night that a friend asked you to go out and try to take your mind off of stuff?
yeah,
You go out, you have some drinks, you start getting upset and frustrated.
we actually both started crying, and then thinking about the stories and nothing making sense about her stories. We broke, and then it led to messenger messages.
Okay. And then 14 months after that, she filed charges
Yes,
and was granted the no contact order
for 1 year. Yes,
for 1 year. And when does that expire?
1 year from last month.
So it just got filed.
Yep.
Wow. And now you can no longer even search the Brook area?
I can't go where his first boots were found.
Okay.
I can go where his second boot was found, but I can't go where his first one was found.
Let's talk about the boots now. How long after he went missing were those found?
They say one was found at 7 and one was found at 8 something. So
That night, that day.
That night, yeah.
Okay. And how far apart were they found?
150, 200 meters apiece apart. Pretty good chunk.
Which indicates that that either he was down there alone or somebody was there, but you guys found nothing else. No jacket,
No, nothing. See, there's 2 train bridges that go along that brook. So actually a main road goes across it, so someone can easily toss them right out the window. One boot was actually hung up in a shopping cart. So the way that this brook goes, all the water kind of shoots into one corner, which causes erosion, caused a hole, and there was a shopping cart under the in the hole, and his first boot was found in there. And that was the first indication with the retired RCMP officer. He's like, well, where's Dylan? You know, his one boot's there, but why didn't he go in there? You know, because usually they'll travel the same, you know, and then alongside of that was kind of a beaver's dam looking, a bunch of debris all gathered up. So he should have, to me, he would have got hung up there too. And then just down from that, there was an entire tree laying across the brook, all the branches shooting down. I remember going through with Wings of Mercy, and you literally had to dig your way through it.
Right.
And search and rescue didn't understand that part of it at all.
Right.
I know the next, or we'll get to the mannequin whenever you're ready.
Yeah. So, where are the boots now?
They're right here. You guys want to see them?
I would love to. Yeah. For those of you just joining, we are with Jason Ehler, father of missing child Dylan Ehler, missing since 2020, 2 years ago yesterday.
That's
Wow. And that's all you got.
That's all I have.
Wow. Well, so the reason I asked that was they must not be investigating this.
No.
Because that would be evidence.
Yeah.
As an ongoing investigation. But have they told you officially that it is closed?
No.
Gotcha. But they handed evidence over to you how fast?
It was pretty quick. They wouldn't fingerprint them either.
Really? What and what was the reason for that?
Because they were found in the water and fingerprints would have been washed off. But then me and Ashley, of course, did research, and that's not entirely true.
Well, it'd be worth a shot.
Well, that's what we said. You know, what's the harm? And so the retired RCMP officer that was helping us out from Please Bring Me Home, Gillis Blinn is his name. He actually had his son, which is also an RCMP officer still today, fingerprint them. He said all it takes is 5 to 10 minutes to get that off your mind. He's like, they should have done that. But we were never treated very nicely at all, which we'll get to later on if you'd like.
Sure. No, absolutely. We'll talk about it. Okay, so let's move on from the boots, and I mean that's just absolutely tragic. And once again, I'm sorry that you and your family have to deal with this. It's just heartbreaking. So the next day, was it basically, hey, this is what we think happened, and that's it?
So there was a night to this, so I never went to sleep. So I remember sneaking out. So Dorothy was on Facebook, as you can believe, the entire time. On a game, I can't think of the game. But anyway, I remember sneaking out. It must have been, 2 a.m. And I remember searching around, and I remember running into my brother and a few others, and they told me to go home because I'm in shock and I shouldn't be out here. And that's when I made my way to the baseball field near the area. And that's when I noticed Halifax Search and Rescue just coming in. Colchester Search and Rescue is a very small search and rescue team, maybe a member of 10 people, 12 tops. Yeah.
Okay. And any other missing cases in your town of children going missing?
No, not children.
No children. When you and I had talked, you said that there had been other possible attempts of abductions for that were stopped or thwarted in your town. Is that true?
Yes, and a lot of people don't know this or realize this, but Nova Scotia will actually, yeah, Nova Scotia is like this biggest sex trafficking area in like Canada. They call Sydney to Yarmouth like the main highway, and we're in the hub. Truro's the hub of Nova Scotia, so they say sex trafficking and stuff doesn't happen here, but it does more than anywhere else in Canada. So anything's possible.
Okay.
There was definitely sightings that day of I think a guy in a van tried to take a child, and the mother had noticed and scared the guy off. And there was another few attempts with somebody else, but hard to remember everything.
Yeah, I understand.
But yeah, there was some incidences around the neighborhood.
Gotcha. All right. So the theory is he falls in the water and he's swept off his feet. The brook is extremely high and fast moving that day.
Now that's not in. Well, it was moving fast. I'll admit that, but it wasn't chest deep. I can tell you that.
Right. But he's 3 foot tall.
Exactly.
So
it would have swept him off.
Wouldn't take much.
Exactly.
Wouldn't take much.
Yeah.
But they believe that he got washed out to the river, eventually the bay.
Yeah.
And then the ocean.
Apparently so.
That's a really long way to travel.
It's a really long way, considering they didn't even search the entire Salmon River.
So let's talk about the dummy test.
Yep.
Tell me about that.
I have failed every way possible, so they put it in Leopard Brook.
Well, let me explain here. The dummy was similar size to Dylan, weighed about the same, in the form of a 30-pound, 3-foot child, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So they made them around the same height, same weight, 33 pounds. Correct.
Okay. And how many times did they attempt it?
I only heard of the one time. I know that they put it in the brook and it wouldn't go anywhere. So they took the weights out of it and it still wouldn't go anywhere. So they took it to the end of the brook where it merges into the Salmon River, and they tried there. Once again, they had to take the weights out, and then they actually had to push it out into the river. So that didn't work whatsoever, and the water wasn't exact, but I've been there at the highest times, and the same stuff happens. It almost, when you get to the end of the brook, it almost wants to push stuff back up the brook. It's almost like I don't know the right word for it.
Debris?
No, it's just the way the water moves. So
the current.
The way the current goes, it kind of pushes things back up the brook a little bit.
Yeah, kind of like a swirling.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't think that it would make it that far out, but the problem was search and rescue didn't start until what time? Was it the 3-hour mark as well?
Yeah, so they didn't get there till about 7:30.
What's the deal with that? Why did it take so long for that?
They blamed it on search and rescue, so I don't know.
The cops blamed search and rescue for getting there late.
Yeah.
And did they admit that they were late?
No, they said they were ready within 10 to 20 minutes. They were ready to go. We're like, great, away.
And then the chief has to release.
Chief hesitated, and we don't know why.
Gotcha. And so I mean, I can understand. He never gave you an explanation for that.
No.
I mean, you had to have asked him.
He said all the parts were moving fast, and I said the hell they were, and it's just roundabout questions, roundabout answers, I should say, roundabout answers. They always go around and talk about something else every time.
Let me ask you this. Is it possible that the story that the grandmother tells, I mean, is it possible to you, in your opinion?
I don't think it's possible whatsoever. Right from day one, like that's to lose a child tying a dog for a minute, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you know where that child's at. There were no other distractions. It was tying a puppy. You can't tell me you didn't hear him. You didn't, like, he was a foot to 2 feet away. So, did your dog get away? Did you put your dog back upstairs and you left him outside a minute? Thought you'd be quick. Like, what happened that day is, there's more to it.
Okay, because the reason that I ask is because, and I don't know, this is all speculation. It's just something that I'm thinking about out loud. Is that the story would definitely make sense that a child would, if you left the child out in the yard by themselves, which has happened before.
Yeah.
If there more time had passed, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. The problem with that is there's a possibility of being charged with neglect. I mean, as a result of it. And I don't know the laws in Nova Scotia. I don't know.
Nova Scotia laws, basically, if you neglect to properly supervise a child, there's neglect charges, and then there's properly supervise a child with what's the word for it? Something to do with special instructions, which Ashley gave with the harness and stuff.
Okay.
Where those instructions weren't met or used,
was the reason for the harness?
We tried to press charges. And
what's the reason for the harness for the boy?
So I requested a lie detector test on the grandmother, and because of that, they won't go any further. But they actually questioned the lie detector test, and they needed a second opinion on the lie detector test. So what I've learned is after that second opinion, there shouldn't be. It's not plausible. It's no good anymore. If you're double thinking that, it's only done once, right? And if it's not 100%, then it's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, it makes me wonder why a second opinion. That don't make sense, and that's not proper either. And they won't give us that information.
So a lie detector was taken, but no, you weren't told results.
No, they said she passed.
Okay. What about you and Ashley? Did you guys take lie detectors?
No.
Did they ever offer you one?
No.
Would you have taken one?
Yep.
Both of you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So I did request one more on Jeff Parsons, and that is 3 days before I made my police complaint, and they shut me down.
Yeah.
They agreed to it, and then they disagreed with it.
Where's the harness at?
That's in Dylan's bag right now.
So
yeah.
So he wasn't on the harness, which was requested.
Yeah.
But as she's turning around to put the lead on the dog, he goes missing. The lead on the dog, were they going for a walk? I mean, was that the plan? What was the reason for the lead on the dog?
They were going to play in the yard, apparently.
And didn't want the dog to run off?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of a dog is it?
I'm not exactly sure. To me, it looks like it's a mutt, labish looking, retrieverish looking dog. a hyper dog. They were like two peas in a pod. When I was there, the dog was all over him. It's when it comes to two babies, even a puppy and a child, they seem to have a connection, just the way animals or young animals and children are, right?
Yeah.
So that brings me to my next question. Why did the dog catch Dylan? Like, why wasn't the dog pulling you towards Dylan? If that boy had been running, that dog should have been on Dylan like that. Been inside all day. They're both restless, just getting outside, both full of energy. But that dog didn't try to chase Dylan.
Was he
Wrong.
familiar? Was he familiar with Dylan? Did he
Oh
jump
yeah,
all over Dylan and follow him?
he'd come home with scratches and stuff. Yeah, the puppy was all over him, chased him
Sure.
around the house nonstop.
Yeah. I have a puppy right now. He's kind of a puppy. He's like 7 months, and they're needy and hyper. And so I understand.
You put a child in the mix with that puppy, it's
Chaos.
they're smaller, so that yeah.
It's absolute chaos. Um, yeah, like so. I've heard just rumors, but is he like? I mean, is he that fast?
Dylan,
Yeah.
he's your typical 3-year-old. So
Yeah, so it's not like he's like gonna, he didn't have a life for the Olympics or anything. I mean, he was just he was just
your basic 3-year-old.
yeah, absolutely. Okay. So what happens now? So at this point right now where we're at, you can't search near where one of the boots was found. You have a no contact order with grandma. She now, and I don't know when this happened, and chat, I'm going to ask you to respect this conversation and do not question the grandmother in chat. That's not what, if she's still here, I really want to emphasize that, because it has added a new different element to this interview. So please just respect that, and then everything will be fine. She has now, and I don't know when this happened, accused you of being the one to set her up, and that you and your brother took Dylan from her yard that day.
Yeah.
How long after he went missing did that accusation come up?
It started with my brother, and it was quite a while before that happened. And
But how
then,
long had he been missing to then you were officially accused by her?
for me, it's only been maybe 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay. And do you know why? Was it because of you threatening, or?
I believe it's because I don't believe her. I'm loud. I'm loud about it. Maybe that's why. But she tears apart her own daughters. So maybe I don't know why she does what she does. She's threatened Ashley. She's in fact told Ashley to enjoy her new life, and I can't remember exactly the way it was said, but it was downright horrible. They were just she's my feelings on her. I've never liked her to begin with.
When was the last time you had contact with her, speaking?
Speaking when she picked up my son on May 4th, the last day I seen my son. And
You guys haven't had a conversation since then for over 2 years?
Well, I guess there was, pretty well.
like a cordial conversation? I mean, I know that you threatened her and you got in trouble for that or whatever.
Yeah, it's been about 2 years since I've
Okay.
talked to her.
Okay.
I lost my train
What
of
about
thought.
Ashley?
Both the same.
So you guys have no contact. There's not a no contact order between Ashley and Grandma, correct?
No.
But they just don't communicate.
In Ashley's words, she's a monster. She's a monster.
Why does Ashley say that? If you can elaborate.
I guess maybe those aren't her exact words. I guess the main reason why she doesn't talk to her mom is because she feels like she's lying 100%. So,
Okay.
and then she tried to use the, being the victim through all this. She has a past too that I'm not going to get into. Just believe it at that.
Okay, so Grandma has a past that you're not going to get into. However, I mean, is it relevant to this?
She's turned her back on her own kids, so I believe that there's no problem in neglecting or turning away. So
Okay.
I believe that she played the victim back in the day, and she's playing the victim now, and that's what I believe.
What do you think exactly? If you had a clear scenario that you had to put to this, if the exact thing in your head that you go over, your main conclusion, what do you think happened?
I believe the dog got away. Or no, that's not what I think. You know what? I think that Dorothy took the dog back upstairs and thought she'd be quick.
Now, Dorothy, I don't know what the laws are here, and I don't want to blur any lines. Folks, please bear with this because I understand. I understand, but we're dealing with people's lives here and the law. I don't know that it is. Dorothy, I will cordially invite you onto the show to have your say. Yes. I have no problem with that, and I would treat you with the same respect that I treat Jason and anybody with. But I don't know if it's a good idea if we go back and forth like this on here, because I don't know the rules. I don't know the rules.
I'm not allowed to have any contact. I can talk about my feelings towards her, and that's it. I cannot physically or directly have contact. So I can't, we can't come on here and talk to each other. That's not happening.
Now, no, absolutely not. But
I can answer your questions and how I feel about her. That's allowed. What Dorothy thinks and what I know from my lawyer are two different things. I've spoken to I have a lawyer, so her name's Allison Harris. You've probably seen her in many write-ups through W5.
Now, yeah, I have. Dorothy, I wasn't inviting you to come on panel today. That was never going to happen. I'm talking about if you want to come on a separate time, please email me. If somebody will put that into the chat, she is more than welcome, and she can have the floor all by herself to defend herself however she sees fit. But in no way, shape, or form was I ever going to put these two on the screen together or even insinuate that that's what I wanted to do. I don't.
And these are just feelings and thoughts. They're not saying that she did anything. These are just what I think or my feelings. So,
yeah. Okay. So fair enough. Because I would never blur those lines. and disrespect a no contact order of any kind. That is just not what we do here. Now, talk about the problems that you've had with the police and where that started and how they basically have cut you off completely.
So I made a police complaint. It was just shy of 6 months of his disappearance, and there's a law on that. You have 6 months to make a police complaint, or you'll never get a chance to. Right? I think it's changed now to 2 years, but when Dylan went missing, it was the old. So I made the complaint, and it was more than 2 days. Chief McNeil called and said, "I thought we were on the same page. You slowed down your son's investigation. You're not to talk to the lead investigator anymore, and you're to get 1 email a week." And that is exactly word by word. That's what he said.
And do you do you still get that email?
They don't email me anymore. They don't. They didn't invite me to our last meeting. They've completely shut me out and said it's due to my anger.
And had you broken the law with them?
No.
Had you lost your temper in the police station?
Yes, because they were lying to me, because Search and Rescue told me a different story.
And you got loud?
And I got loud, yes. But then I left. I left on my own terms. I said, you know what? I'm done here, and I left. I'm not going to sit there and be lied to. You know, maybe they didn't know I knew this information, but sorry. Maybe Search and Rescue shouldn't tell me so much. So things were said. Things were told. I heard from, it was actually online, head of Colchester Search and Rescue, head of communications, Colchester Search and Rescue, made a post about Dylan, concerned about the 3-hour delay and how it's never a good outcome with something like that. It was sad. And so it was a bunch of things, you know. And Tom Fitzpatrick would talk to me every day, and you know, he told us about a civilian that was wet from his chest down, and he thought it was odd, and I actually went to the Truro police on scene and told them about it, and it was never looked into because they didn't use a sign-in sheet or nothing for civilians to search. And it actually, I find this out 3 months ago, and I have a recording of Tom telling me this. And it actually, our lead investigator said it was probably just a good Samaritan, fell in a sinkhole. Yeah.
And you filed a complaint against it. So after that happened, did you file a complaint against the police department?
Yes, right after some information. Yeah. Okay. My main concern was that 3-hour delay.
Okay. And what was the kind of complaint that you filed?
Something like 3 hours to put boots in the ground was very unfair. But the way I've been treated, I think I've been treated very unfairly, me, my family. There were times where Deputy Chief Rob Hearn would state, "We got to stop this back and forth. Your son drowned that day, and you need to come to accept this." You know, that's and I'm not supposed to get angry. You know, that's the way we get treated. You know, I called in a ransom, and my lead investigator, Corporal Emery, actually got very upset with me. Said it's all bullshit, and I need to get off Facebook and Facebook media and stuff like that. And it's like, what? Like, how do you have a missing child and spread awareness if I'm off Facebook and stuff? So
the fact of the matter is, being angry is all part of this. I don't blame you for being angry, upset. I don't blame you for
I thought they were trained to handle people that get emotional. We weren't treated that way once.
Well, there's nothing more emotional than this situation. And that's why, you know, we're really walking a tightrope here because I want everybody to have their say, and I want everybody to, be represented by the way that they want to tell their story.
Exactly.
People are going to have questions. There's going to be people, and there are people, I'm sure, that think that you had something to do with it, that your girlfriend maybe had something to do with it, that grandma had something to do with it.
Yeah, our
There's just
family believes that there's neglect somewhere, and she's nervous of the outcome.
what would
And
that do for you? What if, say one day she just says, you know what? It was longer than that. I'm sorry.
the outcome would be that was plausible evidence at the beginning that could have changed the whole game. Holding back anything at that fragile moment could and would have screwed up everything because you lied. You selfishly, um, yeah. It's just you need to. That time would have been important.
Because people, obviously, accidents happen, and then people try to cover their tracks
Yep.
after that.
Yep.
Now, for some reason, and I don't know, and I don't want to say, I don't believe that story, or I'm pretty neutral here. There are obviously major issues with the story. There are major issues with how it was handled. Now, what I guess what I don't understand though is if she was trying to get away with something here, why would she continue to say, even today, that the scenario that the police laid out isn't true, or that she doesn't believe that? Why would she say that she believes that he was kidnapped? Is it just because it's because she didn't accuse you right away of being the one that did this, that kidnapped
Correct.
Dylan, but she did say that she believed that somebody did do it. Why wouldn't she just say, yeah, that's exactly what I think happened too, and this all goes away for her?
I'm not sure why she would come up with that. I believe it's possible, but for I don't know why she would say that. It blows my mind.
And then
Maybe so she's not responsible in some sort of weird twisted way.
well, the police aren't holding her responsible for being the last one in custody of him, even when they believe that she turned her back and wasn't watching him where he could escape. They've cut her slack. When I say slack, I mean there could be something neglectful, even from the 18 to 20 seconds. I mean, you lose a child and then
I look at a daycare. What would happen in a daycare if one of them children wandered off? Pretty sure there's lawsuits. Why not in this situation? Why not charges criminal? Like, because you didn't do your proper job, there's a little boy that, possibly he was looking for your help. He was looking for help. And he I don't understand.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that's what hurts the most. I wake up and I think, that little boy, my son, was looking for your help and you weren't there.
Yeah.
So that's part of my anger. You just weren't there for him. So I don't.
Tell me a little bit about the searching that you still do 2 years later.
Yeah.
Tell me what you go.
So I search. For the first year, I searched almost every day. Within 3 months, we discovered a missing persons organization, Wings of Mercy, and they train in drone and drone software. So a pilot came out and started searching, and he used technology called Lock8, LOC8. Search and rescue. So it's technology and it's more or less colors. So you put a color into the system, or 2 or 3 colors, and you'll send your drone on a autopilot grid search. So you can pick a chunk of land or a chunk of the river, and it'll do a grid. So it'll go back and forth, and it'll take pictures of that entire grid perfectly. And it'll go through the software, and the software will go through the thousands of pictures that you took. And let's say we'll use red for an example. So if there are, let's say, some Timmy cups, my drone would catch all that stuff in the pictures from, 30, 40 meters up. And so the system will circle it red. So it'll it makes it easier. So you're not looking through thousands of pictures with your eyes. It's sorting them out. So 75 of these pictures got red in it, so we got targets. They're already circled. The machine already did it, and then we can look at these other ones later. So it kind of sorts them out quicker and saves you a lot of time.
And you've been documenting this on Facebook and YouTube?
We used to have in our group. I used to put it all onto a Dropbox. And let people help out and search and go through the pictures. But when you don't have a really good team or a really good team of family members, it's really hard to for us as parents of a missing child to go after everybody's sightings. So they see a picture and they see something red or something that may look like something Dylan had. For us to go to all these locations is physically impossible. We were getting a lot of them at once, and we just don't have the team or the members to do it. Wings of Mercy did a really great job. They made it almost to the 102 highway, but that wasn't the entire river.
Yeah. Well, let me say this.
So I guess I went and got a drone, and I started doing my own thing.
And let me say, I'm not a law enforcement basher by any means. I'm sure law enforcement, I know that they make mistakes. And investigations get out of sorts. The one thing that I saw the police chief say that did bother me, and it would bother me in most situations, is that he says that there's nothing that he would have done different. There's nothing different that he would have done. I find that incredibly arrogant and hard to believe. Nobody's saying, that, oh man, I mean, maybe they did blow this whole thing. It is completely possible. Maybe they didn't, but maybe they also didn't do the proper steps. That is also a possibility. Maybe they did some, but maybe not all. How many little kid missing cases have they worked? I mean, it doesn't seem like it's not something that small town police officers deal with a lot.
So it seems like actually the Truro police are well known for failure. We can go back to the Samantha Mercer case. A 4-year-old little girl was thrown down a flight of stairs, and apparently the boyfriend or the father did it. And I guess the cops blotched the whole thing. They disrupted evidence. They cleaned up blood. They rebuilt fucking things that were broken. They completely failed everything. The review board said it was absolutely disgusting. And still
these
today,
are the same people that interview, or that not interview, but these are the same people that were involved in the investigation of your child.
With Dylan. So still today, 14 years have gone by, and the Truro police have still not given that family an apology after being proved by the review board saying how disgusting of a job they did. And then we move on to another case. So there was a murder case with Ben Hare was murdered on Yonge Street, and Dustin Preeper had murdered him, and the Truro police had failed once again, and he got away with it, and then he ended up murdering another young lady, and then was caught later on. So because of their failure, it's just failure after failure.
Let me just ask.
The RCMP a few minutes down the road from us in the mass shooting. It's a whole other.
Let me ask this, because as somebody who's doing an interview, I wouldn't, and I don't expect any bombshell here. Answer it however you'd want. Did you have anything to do with the disappearance of your son?
No, I didn't even know he was missing.
Do you think that Ashley had anything to do with the disappearance of your son?
No.
That's not an easy question to ask, and I assumed that that's what you would say. And let me just say, for the record, I believe you. Not that that matters, but you seem to be doing a lot of the right things by continually searching and pressing and wanting answers.
Thank you.
Has grandmother been doing that, in your opinion, or do you not know because you haven't had much contact with her?
I don't see any social media posts of anything. I've actually had to put up posters around her neighborhood because there were none, and the best she could do was give me the finger. She doesn't hold rallies. I don't think she did a balloon launch or did anything yesterday. It wasn't on social media, anyways. For searching, I don't believe she's doing a whole lot. I remember going on a search and she was actually videotaping us in her front yard. Her daughter caught her doing it and then gave her the finger and laughed or whatever happened. Like it's like a sick game. So
You hired a private investigator, correct?
yes, he believes what I think.
That their grandmother's not telling the whole truth.
Exactly.
Okay. Because
31 years and then he was a 31 years RCMP officer as well, right? So it's not his first rodeo.
do people bring up your legal troubles in this, like try to intertwine them with what's going on with Dylan?
What do you mean?
Well, do they say, well, look at his past. He's been, the domestic violence and things like that. Have they, because you've received an incredible amount of hate through the internet, and so much so that you took a man to court who was running a Facebook group of about 17,000 members.
So that's not correct. So at the beginning, nobody was after me at all. It felt like they didn't even know I existed.
Okay.
They attacked Ashley like crazy. And to the point where I started to get angry and start defending. And then it kind of started happening to both of us. And then we both took them to the civil courts.
Okay. And that case was shut down. Talk about some of the people that have reached out to you saying, talk about some of the ransom calls and messages that you've received.
I've had ransoms where if I don't send them $5,000, I'm going to kill your son. They'll send a picture of him, all photoshopped. Very similar ones with Bitcoin. I've had one where he was showing a all beat up shot woman realistically and saying your son's next if you don't send $8,000 or something. I've had some pretty nasty ones, and it takes a toll. It affects your brain in every way. It's you don't feel human anymore after all this stuff.
Did you turn all that stuff into law enforcement, and what was their reaction?
Get off Facebook. I don't know
That's
how
it.
far they went with it.
That's it. They never followed up people demanding, requesting and demanding money for your son, and all they told you was get off Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was actually a sighting of Dylan at a Walmart, and I have everyday recordings of this for 7 days. So our lead investigator really was so he calls us up and tells us we got a sighting of your son possibly at a Walmart. We're gonna go look through the recordings, but I'm going on vacation. And he said that Derek King was the guy that was gonna handle it or go through him. So I get a hold of him, and that was a runaround. And when I finally get a hold of him, he said, he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna look." And then the next day, it's the same shit, right up to the point where they tell me they waited 7 days because of a cocaine seizure.
All right. Yeah.
So they just neglected to look
Are you going out tomorrow?
for a search. Yes,
Yeah. Did you go today?
I didn't. I needed a break.
Yeah.
Yesterday
I
was
know.
real hard trying to keep my emotions in. When I woke up this morning, they all came out. That was it.
They all came out.
Yeah.
I understand. Is there anything else that you want to talk about that I've missed that is important to this story?
My police complaint is going into review in the next 3 weeks.
What was the original decision on that police complaint?
The original was they didn't see anything wrong with the case, but it was a twin sister of the Truro police, so it was buddies.
Okay.
And then it got sent to the police commissioner, and then the big time guy there looked into it, and they see some issues, so they're bringing it to the review in 3 weeks. So that means I have to pay for a lawyer, and go up against the chief, and
Again.
and show them the wrongdoings and fight to prove that he did wrong, while they get a free lawyer and everything handed to them. Our family is going to suffer once again because of them. The more pain and suffering from the Truro police. Instead of just admitting you did wrong, you guys are going to fight me every step of the way. I think it's sad.
What if they, and this is all hypothetical, would that bring you any sort of peace if they said that? If they said that they messed up and they're sorry?
No, not now. Wouldn't make a
Sure.
difference. Because the critical hours, Dylan could have been saved that day. And they told me to stand back because we're professionals. And because I stood back and didn't look, I felt like I put everything into them. And then I found out I was lied to, and they failed by the people that we look up to, that we feel that we're properly trained to handle certain situations. And apparently our money's not going to good use because the funny thing is Colchester Search and Rescue, they don't have their own boats. They don't have their own equipment. They're a dying organization. Truro gave them $200 this year or last year for their yearly thing that they do, right? Like they needed Halifax for everything, but yet Halifax took all day to get there, all night. So I don't know. I don't know what to think until we get to the police review board and find out what actually happened. Because I feel like I've been lied to right from the beginning, right from day one, from the grandmother and the police.
Yeah. Jason, I've interviewed a lot of people over my time doing things like this a lot. And this is about as gut wrenching as any I've done. I feel in just the hour, 45 minutes that we've been talking and in the last couple of days, that it's absolutely draining for you, your wife, your girlfriend. And I want to tell you as a fellow father that I'd be doing the same exact thing that you'd be doing if I was put in your position. I have 2 sons, and it is tragic, and nothing that I can say is going to comfort you or make anything better. Just as a fellow father, I'm sorry that you're going through this, and nobody should have to. I have a lot of empathy for you and your family and your son. And I hope that this turns out where he could come home and be reunited with his family.
Thank you.
And I can tell that this interview has taken a lot out of you and that you're going through emotions right now.
I can feel them. I'm exhausted. My head's starting to hurt.
I can see it in your face, man. And so on another note, just, I'm sorry that you've had to go through this. And I will let you get out of here. But what is your YouTube channel where people can go see clips of what you've been doing to try to find your son?
So if you would like to follow me on my YouTube channel, it's DED with a blue heart and a green heart. It's Dylan Ehler's dad. So if you put it in D.E.D and then the blue and green heart, you'll find me, no problem.
I will also put it in the description of this video.
Thank you.
And
you can follow all my searches. You can follow my fight, and I can always use your support. You need I need your guys' support. Let's bring Dylan home.
Absolutely. And there was about 400 people in here watching. So, a lot of people showed up live to watch this, and a lot of people will watch this after. So
thank you, everyone. It means a lot for you guys to be here for me right now. And I hope we all can work together, because I know that if we all work together, we can bring him home.
Okay. I'll let you go. You enjoy the rest of your night. Try and get some rest. Try to make the bet. Look, man, Mother's Day is tough for me too. My mom's been gone a long time. It's not a day. Not everybody enjoys Mother's Day. They just don't. It's like Christmas sometimes with some people. So
yeah.
Try your best to enjoy yourself tomorrow, and kiss your girlfriend and stay close to each other. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
We'll talk to you soon.
Night.
Bye-bye. All right. So with that being said, wow. It's heart-wrenching isn't quite the word that I would use, but it is tough. Now, once again, the offer stands to Dorothy to please, if you would like to talk and come on this show, I would give you an absolute fair shake. Wow. Yeah, that was rough. I mean, it's a million times rougher for them. I could feel it. I feel it. Happy Mother's Day to all you beautiful mothers out there that love your kids and hold them tight. Wow. All right, guys. Well, thank you for being here. Like, share, and subscribe. Dorothy, like I said, reach out to me, email me, send me a statement. I'll read it. Whatever you want to do, I'm here. And if not, I totally understand too. Thank you guys so much for being here and supporting. It means more than you guys know.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
There's not, really? It is to me.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her on the side and where
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
There's not, really? It is to me. Right. Idiot.
Like myself. It's hard, that's still tough.
But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys.
I'm gonna do what I gotta do for me and my boys and my kids.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
Live from the NBD Production Studios, you're in the lab with your host, Joshua Diaz.
There is no investigation. This boy has.
It's not really. It is to me. But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys. But I have to.
There is no investigation.
Don't say any F's and stuff.
But I have to put her. But I have to put her on the side and worry about the boys.